Welcome back to the Learn English Lab. I'm Mike, and today we're diving deep into something really practical, something that can actually be, well, kind of exciting.
Exciting?
Yeah. We're going to talk about how to talk about your aims in life in English and how to do it smoothly and confidently.
I like that. And hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I'm thrilled to be here, Mike. I'm all about giving you the words, the tools, the linguistic tools to make your goals and dreams totally clear.
I think it's interesting.
This is a skill that can open so many doors, both personally and professionally.
A lot of times when we learn English, we focus on like the day-to-day, ordering food, asking for directions.
Right.
But being able to articulate, what you want out of life.
I like that.
That's next level communication.
I love that.
That's where you really start sharing your dreams and passion.
Absolutely.
And honestly, even if your English isn't perfect yet, that's okay.
I agree.
That genuine energy,
yes,
it'll carry you through.
100%. Sometimes we get so caught up in being grammatically perfect,
right,
when really it's the feeling behind the words that people connect with. So before we get to the actual words themselves, let's take a minute to think about what we really mean by this word, aim. What are we talking about?
I think that's important because it seems so obvious, but I think even native English speakers can sometimes fumble this. What questions should our listener ask themselves to really pinpoint that driving force in their life?
It's about going deep, asking yourself what really gets you excited, like what gets you up in the morning, what gives you that feeling of purpose, and maybe even more importantly, what kind of impact do you want to have on the world?
I like that. It's almost like figuring out your internal compass. What's your guiding star? For some people, their aim might be something very concrete. Like, I want to become a doctor. I want to start my own business. I want to travel the world.
Right.
Those are very clear aims.
Exactly.
But for others, it might be more of a feeling or a way of life they want to cultivate.
Exactly. And there's no right or wrong answer. That's what's so cool about it. It's completely individual. It's whatever truly resonates with you, what makes your heart sing,
Yeah. Okay, so we've got a handle on what our aim actually is.
Okay.
Now we need the vocabulary to match it. We need the English vocabulary. It's like upgrading our toolkit, right?
Yes. Expanding your vocabulary gives you more tools to express yourself, more accurately, more nuance. And when you're talking about something as important as your aim in life, there are certain words that can really make an impact.
Okay, so what are some of those power words, some of those key words that we can use to really elevate these conversations?
Words like aspiration, goal, passion, purpose, ambition.
Right.
Each of these has a slightly different shade of meaning, and using them well can make your communication much more sophisticated.
I see. So it's not just about using big words to sound smart.
Right.
It's about choosing the right words.
Exactly.
To really reflect your own feelings.
Yes.
To really express yourself authentically.
Exactly. It's about finding the words that fit you.
Okay, can you give us some examples of how these words might actually play out in a real conversation?
Sure. Let's say somebody asks you about your plans for the future.
Okay.
You could say, my aspiration is to become a musician and create music that moves people. Or you could say, I have a deep passion for environmental conservation, and my ultimate goal is to work in renewable energy.
Okay.
Do you see how those different words kind of bring a different flavor to your message?
Yeah, I do. I see what you're saying. But even with the best vocabulary, we still need to structure our words effectively.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Like a good story talking about your aim, it needs a beginning, a middle, and an end.
Absolutely. A clear structure keeps the listener engaged and helps your message come across clearly.
So how do we actually structure this conversation about our aims? What are the essential pieces?
I like to think about it like building a house.
Okay.
You need a solid foundation, strong walls, and a roof to tie it all together.
I like that analogy. So how do we build that house? What are the pieces?
I recommend a 4-part structure: introduction, reason, steps, and conclusion.
Okay. Introduction, reason, steps, conclusion. Let's break that down a little bit.
Okay.
What goes in each of those sections?
So in the introduction, you want to state your aim directly. Nice and concisely. Think of it like a headline that grabs your listener's attention.
Right.
Then the reason is where you get to explain the why behind your aim.
Okay.
Like what motivates you? What changes are you hoping to see? This is where you make that emotional connection.
Right. It's not just what you want, it's why you want it.
Exactly. And then the steps section, that's where you get practical.
Okay.
What are you actually doing to reach your goal? Are you studying, volunteering, networking, saving money?
Yeah.
Sharing those steps shows that you're serious and dedicated to your aim.
Right, so you're not just dreaming, you're actually building towards it.
Exactly. And finally, the conclusion is where you wrap it all up. Reiterate your aim, then emphasize your determination. You can express your excitement about the journey, the impact you want to make. It's your final chance to leave a lasting impression.
Okay, I love this structure.
Good.
But can you give us an example? Can you show us what it might look like in action?
Absolutely. Let's imagine someone whose aim is to be a chef.
Okay.
And open their own restaurant one day.
Okay.
Their introduction could be as simple as, my aim is to become a chef and have my own restaurant.
Okay, very clear, very straightforward. What about the reason? Why is that so important to them?
They could say something like, I love bringing people together through food, and creating a space where everyone feels welcome, where they can experience new flavors.
So it's about their passion for food, about creating a sense of community.
Exactly.
And how would they highlight the steps they're taking to make this happen?
They might share, I'm currently taking culinary classes and I'm working part-time at a local bakery to get experience.
So they're building their skills step by step.
Exactly.
And finally, to bring it all home, what might a strong conclusion look like?
They could say, I'm excited to keep learning and growing so I can eventually open a restaurant that brings joy to my community.
Okay, I love that. I love how they connected it back to their community.
Right.
And you can really feel their determination there. That's such a clear example.
Good. I'm glad it's helpful.
It is. But starting from scratch like that, it can be intimidating.
Yeah.
Are there any phrases like sentence starters that can kind of give us a jump start?
Yes.
When we're talking about our aims, kind of like having a cheat sheet.
You're absolutely right. Sometimes having those go-to phrases can make all the difference.
Yeah.
And the great thing about these phrases is they're flexible. You can use them as a starting point.
Right.
And build from there with your own experiences.
Okay, let's hear it. What are some of these magic phrases?
Some simple but effective ones are, my goal is to, I'm passionate about, I aspire to, I'm working towards, I dream of.
I like those. They're simple, but you're right. You can build on those so easily.
Wait, you can make them your own.
How would they actually fit into, a natural conversation?
Okay. Let's say someone asks you, what are you hoping to achieve in the next few years?
Okay.
You could respond with, my goal is to become fluent in English and travel the world using my language skills to connect with people from different cultures.
That's great.
Or if someone asks about your hobbies, you might say, I'm passionate about photography and I aspire to have my work featured in a gallery someday.
I love how easy it is to just plug in the specifics.
Right.
To really personalize these phrases, make them your own.
Yeah, the key is to practice using them in different situations so they become second nature. The more you use them, the more comfortable and natural you'll sound.
So it's not about memorizing a script, it's about internalizing these phrases. Making them a part of your natural way of speaking.
Exactly.
It's about owning your message and expressing it with confidence. But, I know that for a lot of people, especially those learning English, even with the best phrases and structure, speaking can still be a little bit intimidating.
Oh, of course.
What are some tips for practicing and building that confidence?
It can be. And it's interesting because I think sometimes we focus so much on the words that we forget about everything else.
Yeah.
That goes into communication.
Exactly.
So much of how we communicate actually goes beyond the words themselves.
Right. And I think about things like, body language, tone of voice.
Yes.
These subtle cues.
Totally.
They can really make a difference.
100%.
How can we use those nonverbal elements to really enhance what we're saying when we're talking about our aims?
I think it all starts with awareness, like being aware of our posture, standing or sitting up straight, conveys confidence and self-assurance.
Right.
If you think about it, like if someone is hunched over and kind of mumbling about their dreams, it's hard to take them seriously.
You're right. It's like your body's reflecting how you feel on the inside.
Exactly.
If you're not confident, it's going to show.
Totally. And then there's eye contact.
Eye contact.
This is so important for building rapport.
Right.
And really connecting with your listener. It shows that you're engaged. And that you genuinely care about what you're sharing. So don't be afraid to look the listener in the eye. It really shows your sincerity.
I know some people are a little uncomfortable with eye contact.
I know, me too, sometimes.
Especially when you're nervous.
Right.
Do you have any tips for making it feel a little bit more natural?
Oh, for sure. So one thing you can try is to focus on one eye at a time, or even the space between the eyebrows. If direct eye contact feels too intense, the important thing is that it feels genuine.
Right.
Not
you don't want to be staring people down.
No, definitely not.
Okay, so posture, eye contact.
Okay.
What about hand gestures?
Oh, I love hand gestures.
Right.
I think they can be so expressive.
Right.
And I think when you're truly passionate about something,
Yeah.
your hands naturally want to get involved.
They do.
So don't be afraid to let them move,
Mhm.
you know? Let those hands flow with your words.
All right, it's almost like they're painting a picture.
Totally.
Alongside your words.
Mm-hmm.
But are there any hand gestures we should avoid?
That's a great question because I think, there are definitely some gestures that are fine in some cultures,
Mm-hmm.
but not so fine in others.
Oh, yeah.
So it's always good to be aware of those cultural differences.
Okay.
A good general rule, I think, is to keep your gestures open and natural.
Uh-huh.
Avoid anything like too sudden or too pointed.
Right.
Things that could be misunderstood.
Right. It's all about being respectful and mindful.
Absolutely. So, yeah, it's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between expressing yourself
Mm-hmm.
and being sensitive to those cultural differences.
I love that. I love how all of these things we've been talking about,
Right.
they all come together
Totally.
to really enhance the way we communicate.
Yeah, it's about creating that connection.
Mm-hmm.
And remember,
Yeah.
you are the expert
Yes.
on your own aims.
Yeah.
Your passion will shine through.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with a clear,
Yeah.
confident way of communicating,
Right.
it can be so inspiring.
And, I think as we've been talking about all these strategies for expressing our aims in English,
Mm-hmm.
it strikes me that these skills are applicable
Oh, yeah.
to so many other areas of life.
Totally. It goes way beyond language.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
Whether you're trying to convince your friends to go on a trip with you,
Right.
or you're pitching an idea at work,
Mm-hmm.
or even just sharing your dreams with
Yes.
someone you love.
I love that.
These communication skills
Mm-hmm.
can really open
You
doors
can.
and create opportunities.
And you know what else is really cool about it?
What?
The skills are transferable.
Huh?
So the more you practice
Yeah.
expressing yourself in English,
Mhm.
the more confident and articulate you become
Yeah.
in other areas of your life too.
Oh, it's
Like a ripple effect,
I like that.
boosting your overall communication skills.
It's like an investment that keeps paying off.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
And you know what else?
What's that?
Language learning is a lifelong process.
It is.
It really is.
I mean, I still feel like I'm learning English
oh, me too. All the time.
every day.
Yeah. That's what keeps it fun and interesting.
Exactly.
There's always something new to learn.
Yeah.
Always room to improve.
I love that. Okay, so we're not alone.
No, you're definitely not alone.
We're all this journey together.
Yes, we are.
We're all learning and growing,
And that's what makes it so much fun.
and I think it's great to have a community,
Oh, absolutely.
people to support you,
Yeah, to cheer you on.
to share your experiences with you,
Yes, and to learn from.
and to learn from. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
We've covered a lot of ground today.
We have.
We've talked about finding those power words. We've talked about, mastering our nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear from our listeners.
You too.
What are some of your biggest takeaways?
Yeah.
What resonated with you the most?
I'd love to know what you guys are struggling with.
Yeah.
What tips and strategies have worked for you.
Yeah. Let's have a conversation.
Yes, let's chat. Let's make this interactive.
Let's make this collaborative.
I love that.
Yeah. Share your insights.
Mhm.
Ask your questions.
Yeah.
Let's learn from each other.
Totally.
Yeah.
We're all in this together.
We are.
And, it's so easy to get caught up in thinking about, what we haven't achieved yet.
Right.
But it's so important to remember to acknowledge
Yeah.
how far we've come,
Absolutely.
and to celebrate those wins, big and small.
Yes.
It's all about progress, not perfection.
Right.
Language learning is a journey. It's not a destination.
You got it.
So enjoy the ride.
Yeah.
Embrace the bumps in the road.
Yeah. Those bumps are where you learn.
Exactly. And most importantly, have fun.
Absolutely. And, what I find so inspiring
Mm-hmm.
is the incredible diversity of our listeners.
I know. It's amazing.
We have people from all over the world.
Yeah.
From all walks of life.
It's so cool.
And it's really a testament to the power of language
Yes.
to connect us across cultures.
It really is.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
It is.
No matter where you're from,
Yeah.
no matter your background, language can be that bridge.
That bridge.
It's beautiful.
It,
No matter where you're from,
Yeah.
no matter your background, language can be that bridge.
That bridge.
That lets us share our stories, our dreams,
Yes.
our aspirations.
Absolutely.
It's really powerful.
It is.
And it's a reminder that we're all part of something much bigger than ourselves.
100%.
And that feeling of connection
Yeah.
can be really empowering.
Especially when we're working towards goals.
Right.
But
Yeah.
it might feel challenging sometimes,
Absolutely.
knowing you're not alone.
Yeah.
Knowing there are other people out there
Yeah.
who understand your struggles,
Mhm.
who share your passion.
Yeah.
That can make all the difference.
It really can.
It can.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into talking about your aims in life in English,
Okay.
I think it's important to just take a moment
Mm-hmm.
to appreciate this amazing community
yes.
of language learners that we're all a part of.
I love that. To everyone listening, thank you for being here.
For sharing this journey with us.
You are all so inspiring.
Your dedication, your enthusiasm. It's amazing.
Incredible.
And we're here to support you every step of the way.
Absolutely. So don't hesitate to reach out, ask questions, share your experiences, connect with other learners in the comments.
Yeah, let's keep this conversation going.
Yes. Let's create a space where everyone feels empowered to express their aims and aspirations with confidence.
I love that. Well, on that note, a huge thank you to you.
Oh, thank you.
Our amazing expert.
It's been a pleasure.
For sharing your wisdom and your passion with us.
It has been a pleasure, Mike. It's always inspiring to connect with fellow language enthusiasts.
Absolutely.
And to share the magic of communication.
And to all of our wonderful listeners out there.
Yes.
Thank you for joining us here at the Learn English Lab.
We hope you enjoyed this deep dive.
We hope you feel equipped to speak about your aims in life with confidence and clarity.
Absolutely. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Yes. We'd love to have you as part of our community.
For more tips and tricks on your English learning journey.
And until next time.
Happy learning.
Happy learning. Hello, and welcome to the Learn English Lab. I'm Mike, and today we're joined by Sarah.
Hi, everyone.
We're going to be diving into a topic that I think is super relevant for a lot of our listeners.
Yeah.
How to speak on your first day at college in English.
So
it's a big one, right? You're walking onto campus for the first time.
Absolutely.
You're seeing new people everywhere. There's all this excitement and energy.
New faces,
And you might be feeling a little bit nervous about,
Oh, yeah, for sure.
approaching people and starting conversations in English.
Yeah, especially in a new environment like that where everything is new.
Exactly.
It can feel a little overwhelming.
So where do we even begin? Like, what are some of the first things that we should keep in mind when we want to make a good impression and start those conversations?
Well, it may seem obvious, but I think introductions are key.
Right.
They're really your first opportunity to connect with someone.
Okay, so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Introductions. What's a good way to approach someone and introduce yourself on that first day?
You can keep it pretty simple.
Keep it simple, right?
Think of it as a formula. You start with, hi, my name is your name.
Right.
Give them a little context, like where you're from or what you're studying. So, for instance, you could say, hi, I'm Sarah. I'm from Chicago, and I'm majoring in psychology.
I like that.
It's nice to meet you. Something like that.
Straightforward and effective.
Exactly.
But let's say we want to spice things up a little bit.
Okay.
How can we make those introductions more memorable or give people something to latch onto and start a conversation?
Yeah, I love that idea because, you can add a little detail about yourself that's a little more unique.
Okay.
Something to spark curiosity.
I like it.
So instead of just saying, I'm Mike from California, you could say, I'm Mike, I'm from California, and I'm a huge classic rock fan.
Nice.
Always looking for new bands to discover, something like that.
That's great. So you're giving them a little hook
exactly
to start a conversation.
Right.
But it's not just about the words, is it?
No, it's not,
What else should we be thinking about?
Nonverbal communication is huge.
Yeah.
Especially when you're in a new environment and maybe you're not as confident in your language skills.
So what are some of those nonverbal cues that we should be paying attention to?
Well, first and foremost, you want to smile.
Smile.
A genuine smile can go a long way.
It's true.
It makes you seem more approachable and friendly.
What about eye contact? I know that's important in American culture, at least.
Absolutely.
But how do you strike that balance between making eye contact and being a little bit too intense?
Right. Yeah. You don't want to stare someone down.
Right.
But you do want to look at them when you're talking to them.
Okay.
Just glance away naturally. Yeah.
Make it a natural kind of flow.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the introduction down, we're smiling, we're making eye contact.
Right.
What comes next?
Well, sometimes those initial hellos can be followed by some awkward silence.
Uh-oh.
So that's where you want to have a few open-ended questions up your sleeve.
Okay.
Those can be really helpful.
Give me some examples.
Sure. So you could ask something like, what made you choose this college?
Okay.
Or what are you most looking forward to this semester?
I like those.
Yeah. Just something to get the other person talking.
And get them sharing a little bit about themselves.
Exactly.
But it's a two-way street, right?
It is.
We don't want to just be firing off questions at people.
Well, no, you want to listen.
How do we show that we're listening?
Ask follow-up questions based on what they're saying.
So if someone says, oh, I'm really excited about this particular class.
You could say, oh, what is it about that class that interests you?
I see.
Show that you're actually paying attention.
That's great.
To what they're saying.
And I think one of the things that a lot of English learners struggle with is moving beyond those one-word or short answers like yes and no.
Yeah, it's easy to fall into that trap.
How do we push past that and give people a little bit more to work with?
Yeah, I think instead of just giving a yes or no answer, try adding a sentence or two.
Okay.
to kind of elaborate on what thought.
So instead of just saying yes, you might say...
You could say, yes, I love living in the city. There's always something going on, and I enjoy exploring new neighborhoods.
That's a great example.
So you're giving them
you're giving them a little bit more to go on.
Exactly.
And showing that you're, And that you're
enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic, there you go.
Yeah.
Now, one thing that I've always found interesting about college is that there's a whole kind of lingo.
Oh, yeah.
A set of phrases.
Campus lingo.
It's like its own little world.
Yeah, so let's play a little game.
Okay.
I'm going to throw out a phrase, and you tell me what it actually means.
Okay, I like it.
On a college campus. So first one, what's up? So they're not actually asking you what's happening in the sky.
I see.
It's more of a greeting. Okay, how are you?
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay, how about, do you want to grab lunch?
That's a pretty straightforward one. They're asking you to go eat lunch with them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice and simple.
It's a good one.
Okay, but even with all these tips, I think it's natural to still feel a little bit nervous on your first day.
Oh, absolutely.
Is that normal?
Totally normal. I think everyone feels that way.
Even native English speakers?
Even native English speakers. It's a new environment. You're meeting new people.
It's a big day.
It's a big day.
So how do we deal with those nerves? Any advice?
I think it helps to try and reframe those nerves as excitement.
Okay.
It's the same energy.
Interesting.
Just channeled in a different direction.
I like that.
And remember, most people are in the same boat.
They are.
They're feeling a little bit nervous too.
So don't worry too much.
Exactly.
But let's be real.
Yeah.
We're going to make mistakes.
Of course.
Especially when we're speaking in a new language.
It's part of the process.
What do we do when that happens?
Just laugh it off, apologize if you need to.
Okay.
And keep going.
Keep going.
Most people are understanding. They appreciate the effort you're making.
Absolutely. And I can totally relate to that. I remember one time during my first week of college, I was so nervous that I accidentally called my professor Mom.
Oh my God.
It was so embarrassing.
I can imagine.
But you know what? He was totally cool about it.
That's great.
We all laughed. And it actually broke the ice a little bit.
Yeah, sometimes those awkward moments can turn into something positive.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we talked about introductions, we've talked about breaking the ice.
Right.
We've talked about active listening, but college is also a lot about group conversations.
Yeah.
How do we approach those?
Yeah, that can feel a little intimidating.
A little bit.
You've got a whole group of people.
Yeah.
You want to join in?
Yeah, how do we get...
So first, I would say just observe the group for a minute.
Observe.
What's the energy like?
Okay.
Are they having a serious discussion or are they just chatting and laughing?
So get a feel for the vibe.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then look for a natural opening.
Okay.
Maybe someone says something that you really agree with.
Okay.
You can use a phrase like, I totally agree with that because...
Okay.
Or that's an interesting point I was actually thinking.
So you're building on what they've already said.
Exactly.
And showing that you're engaged.
Right.
But what if we're completely lost?
Ask for clarification.
It's okay to do that.
Absolutely. It's much better to ask than to pretend you understand.
So how would we phrase that?
You could say something like, sorry, I'm not sure I follow. Could you explain that again?
Got it.
Or could you repeat that, please? I want to make sure I understand.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
So before we actually, dive into all these conversations, are there any things that we can do to prepare ahead of time?
Practice.
Practice. Okay.
Practice makes perfect, right? So you can imagine different conversation scenarios.
Okay.
Maybe role play with a friend or a family member.
So like a little rehearsal.
Yeah, exactly.
What if we don't have someone to practice with?
There's tons of resources online.
Oh, okay.
You can watch videos of college students interacting.
Okay.
You can listen to podcasts about college life. Lots of options.
Right.
And, you can even just talk to yourself in English.
Talk to yourself.
Practice introducing yourself.
Interesting.
Talk about your interest.
Okay.
It might feel silly,
yeah,
but it can really help.
So it's all about getting comfortable with the language.
Exactly.
But I think sometimes it's not just about the practical skills.
Right.
It's about the mindset. Any advice on how we can approach those conversations with the right attitude?
I think one of the most important things is to remember that everyone feels a little awkward and uncertain on their first day.
Mm-hmm.
It's a brand new experience.
True.
So be kind to yourself.
Be kind to yourself.
Cut yourself some slack.
I like that.
And remember, every conversation is an opportunity to learn and grow.
That's a great way to look at it.
Yeah.
So before we wrap up this first part of our deep dive,
yeah,
I just want to reiterate, it's okay to feel nervous.
Absolutely.
But with a little preparation and a positive attitude,
yeah,
you can definitely rock those first day conversations.
I think so.
I think so too.
I got this.
We'll be back soon with part 2 of this deep dive, where we'll be exploring the power of body language.
That's right.
Stay tuned.
See you then.
Welcome back to the Learn English Lab.
We're back.
And we're continuing our deep dive into, how to end those conversations on your first day of college.
All those new faces, yeah.
Now, we talked in the last part about introductions, breaking the ice, asking questions.
Right, the basics.
But I want to talk about something that I think is really important, but often gets overlooked.
Okay, what's that?
Body language.
Ah, yes, body language.
It's so crucial.
It is. It really is.
Because it can convey so much.
Absolutely. Even more so than our words sometimes.
Right. And I think especially for English learners, when you're maybe not as confident in your spoken English, your body language can really help to get your message across.
Yeah, fill in those gaps.
So let's talk about some specific tips for using body language effectively on that first day.
Okay, sounds good.
What are some of the things we should be thinking about?
Well, let's start with posture.
Okay.
Think about it when you see someone who's slouching or kind of hunched over.
Yeah.
What impression does that give you?
Not very confident.
Exactly.
Maybe a little bit closed off.
Right, whereas someone who stands up straight, shoulders back, head held high,
yeah,
they project confidence and openness.
It's like they're saying, I'm here and I'm ready to engage.
Exactly.
Okay, so posture check. What else?
Smiling. Smile. Can't forget about that.
It's so important.
It is, a genuine smile can really put people at ease.
Makes you seem more approachable.
Absolutely.
But how about eye contact?
Ah, yes, eye contact, the tricky one.
It's important, but I also don't want to make people uncomfortable by, staring them down.
Right, you don't want to be too intense.
So how do you find that balance?
You want to make eye contact when you're listening to someone.
Right.
And when you're talking to them.
Okay.
But just break it naturally from time to time.
Don't hold it for too long.
Exactly. Just glance away every so often.
Make it feel natural.
Exactly.
Now, there's another technique that I've heard about called mirroring.
Oh, yes, mirroring. That's a good one.
Tell me about that.
So basically, you subtly reflect the other person's body language.
Oh, interesting.
So if they lean in, you might lean in a little bit too. If they have their arms crossed, you might do the same.
So you're kind of subconsciously saying, hey, we're on the same wavelength.
Exactly. It can help create a sense of rapport.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got posture, smiling, eye contact, mirroring. What about hand gestures?
Hand gestures, yeah. They can be great.
I've seen some people get a little carried away.
Right, you don't want to overdo it,
Yeah.
but using your hand list can definitely add emphasis.
Right.
And make you seem more expressive.
Like adding a little bit of flavor to your conversation.
Exactly.
So I think the takeaway here is that body language is a really powerful tool.
Absolutely.
And we should be paying attention to it.
It can make a big difference.
Especially in those first impressions.
Especially on that first day, yeah.
So stand tall, smile, make eye contact, use those hand gestures strategically, and most importantly, be yourself.
Yes, authenticity is key.
Absolutely.
Let your personality shine through.
We'll be back in a moment to wrap things up with some final thoughts. And we are back for the final part of our deep dive.
It's been a great conversation.
It really has. We've talked about a lot, introductions, body language, active listening.
Even some campus lingo.
But there's one more thing that I want to touch on before we wrap up.
I'm all yours.
And it's kind of the secret sauce.
Oh.
It ties everything together.
Okay, tell me more.
Authenticity.
Authenticity.
Being genuine.
Yes.
Letting your personality shine through.
That's so important.
Because you can have all the right words, you can have all the right body language.
Right.
But if you're not being yourself, people can sense that.
Absolutely. They can tell if you're not being genuine.
It's like trying to fit into a mold that just doesn't quite work.
It just doesn't feel right.
So as you're going into those conversations on your first day, just remember.
Yeah.
Relax.
Relax and be yourself.
Be yourself.
People will appreciate that.
Because ultimately, people connect with other people.
Exactly.
And they connect with people who are genuine and authentic.
Right. And, sometimes the best conversations are the ones that don't go according to plan.
Oh, absolutely.
It's those unexpected moments.
Yeah.
The shared laughter, the genuine connection.
That's what makes it memorable.
Absolutely.
So don't be afraid to go off script a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe share a funny story or ask a question that's a little bit different.
Be curious.
Be curious. Exactly.
Let the conversation flow naturally.
Yeah. Let the conversation flow naturally.
Yeah. Let the conversation flow naturally.
So I think to wrap up our deep dive, remember that confidence comes not just from the techniques.
Right.
But also from being comfortable with who you are.
Absolutely.
And letting that shine through.
Embrace your unique perspective. Your experiences, they're valuable.
Absolutely.
So share them.
So every conversation is a chance to learn and grow.
It is.
And who knows, you might make some lifelong friends along the way.
That would be amazing.
That's the best part.
Yeah.
So just soak it all in, enjoy the experience, and remember, we believe in you.
I do.
And if you enjoyed this deep dive, don't forget to share and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more English learning tips and tricks.
We'll see you next time.
See you soon.